I am sure.
Sorry, I went even earlier.
Yeah, I know that. Well, actually, you know what? That's a good point. Like for Mary, because she's in China, it's already past midnight.
Yeah.
It's 12:35 in the morning. So why don't we do this? At least start with the people, like for example, with Mary, and because they're in different time zones, and for them it's really really late.
Yeah.
That's what I would propose.
Thank you.
I'm just a guest right now. I'm not hosting. I'm just here.
I knew you would say that.
And we have Miha Lure, right? Miha Lure.
Yeah, hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm fine, and you? Sorry, it's the first time I'm here, and I wanted to notice for a while.
Okay. Well, welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Are you from Eastern Europe?
I am from Eastern Europe, Romania.
Oh, okay, good. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
very nice. Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, it's a very lovely country.
Yes, it is. Very beautiful.
So, I remember I used to participate in the past. I did that for a few times, but there was no video call like that. It's very interesting like that.
With the audio or video? Or both?
No, both are okay. Maybe video is better like that. You get to see who you are speaking to.
Oh, yes.
It'll be better if you can see it too.
Yeah. Allow me to show myself the second time when I will be more presentable.
Oh, that's a good excuse. Okay,
Yeah.
everybody. Okay, time to go take a shower. Become presentable. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, joking. Okay. Well, welcome. Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
I hand over the torch to Jamila since by streaming I have a delay, so it wouldn't be good if I am the host.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think we don't need a host. Everyone we have here, they are professionals. They know how to do this. So I guess Mary wanted to start, right?
So what is the topic? Please tell me.
That is a good question.
Thank you.
Well, today we are going to talk about gender equality. We are going to discuss about the achievement, the challenges, some of the role that women and men are playing in our societies, and if we have some kind of value in empowering women in different aspects of the society. So we will be discussing about that. Probably we should start with a question. Mary, what has
Yes.
been the role of a woman in your society?
Good question, but it's hard to answer. And everything has been changing in the world, not only in China, right? In the past, women were required to do most time housework and take care of children. That's their job. But nowadays, of course, women also have jobs to work, not only stay at home. And some men also share housework with their wives, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Rick, do you want to say something? You want to ask something?
Yeah. Well, let me propose something. So when we think about gender equality, there's a way to organize the way we're thinking about it, right? So think about gender equality maybe in 3 or 4 different areas, right? Think about it at home, right? In a domestic environment, right? Think about it in a career or workplace environment. Think about it maybe, again, like we talked about yesterday, maybe in a political or legal environment, okay? Because that helps you to kind of focus and think about, those specific areas and what it means to you. And I think something that would be useful is for people to give maybe specific examples either for, or if, maybe some people don't believe in gender equality, and that's fine. It's up to, everybody has their own opinion, right? So, give examples of why it's important, or maybe why it's not important, okay? So I think that would be helpful to kind of follow that cadence is what I'll call it, or follow that approach. So Mary, based upon my experience in your country, in China, you know, one of the things that we see is that traditionally is, you know, a lot of the families, of course, were looking to have boys, right?
Yes, yes.
Because boys carry the name, the family name. It's kind of a...
Yes, correct. So,
yeah.
so parents always think sons are better than daughters, so
Right.
they treat females not that good. Some parents even throw them away because they wanted. I can say they wanted, but not nowadays. Nowadays, people change. Oh, who's calling me? Yeah, people. Probably a lot of people changed their opinion. Maybe they think daughters and sons are all their children, so they treat them equally. But in the past, like I said before, even my family had the same situation. Even you know, my mom, who was not educated, she even didn't know a Chinese character. So, of course, she thought her sons would take care of her when she get older, and she thought her daughter will all marry men. Of course, they will live with others and won't be able to take care of her. So in the past, she like when she prepared food for us, of course, her sons always eat the better things, and most of them, right?
Right.
And my family was not that bad. I guess even some family were even worse. They just some of them threw away, and some of them even killed them. Just that's what stories I heard, but I didn't hear. That's stories I heard from my parents. Probably that's the older generation above my parents. They even kill them, just throw them in rivers or in pools.
Right.
That's so bad, so poor. I mean, so yeah, in the worker environment, some people, some companies even announce if they need to hire some people, they even say men are priority, right? Yeah. So and a lot of job area are difficult for women to get into, and yeah, that's the truth. For even education was not equal, but nowadays, I guess this situation is getting better and better. In the past, schools didn't accept females in China, so all of females were not educated. Probably some parents did educate at home to their females, but they were really real. And other things I wanted to say, I don't know. That's all I can say right now.
Well, there's a word that's used to describe something you were talking about. It's called gendercide, and that is the intentional killing of a specific gender, often at birth or through forced abortion, right?
Yeah.
And this was I think not just in your country, in other countries as well, this was a common tradition, and it still happens even today. It still happens.
Yeah, it still happens. But after they have born, usually they do not throw away. They stop.
Right. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So, it's interesting, though, because if you think about the whole topic of gender equality, you think about the concept of, a lot of it's from a cultural perspective, perhaps. But, it's starting at the very beginning, before a girl even has that opportunity to go to school or get a career with equal pay. In the very beginning, even at birth or prior to birth, there's already a prejudice or bias against her, right?
Yes.
And again, and a lot of
and it's weird. Even females think their daughters are not that important. They also treat their children, their daughters, not equally, right?
Right. That's very true. I think that's very, very true. Unfortunately, it's kind of sad that, and a lot of it is because traditionally the economic value is a big part of it, right? A family name, it's not carried through the girl, it's carried through the boy, right? It's the family name, which is important in your country and other countries, okay? People,
yes, sons are always named after their not parents, their fathers.
Yeah. So there's
and this can be a problem, nowadays. Because in China, in the past, the birth policy was that a couple could only have one child, right? So both sides, like the male side or the female side, both wanted to have one as their standings, right? So they all wanted then to be named after them, so it could be a problem between the couples. I can tell you a story. When I was in the school for the blind, one of my teachers had a son, and he married a lady. In her family, she was the only child, and of course, her family wanted to have a younger generation who was named after their family name, right? So after the couple got married and had their son, both sides wanted to ask the children, the boy, to be named after them. Because of this, the couple could not get it along with each other well, so they got divorced, and the boy was I don't know why. Usually, it's difficult for a man to take care of the child, but his family, the father's family, takes care of the boy because of the I can't find a word. Maybe divorce. How can you use a divorce? To divorce as a norm? Would you please tell me, Rick?
Well, you mean to divorce?
Yes, because of they divorced, so the man had mental problems, right?
Right. Okay.
So can you find a word which means a non and to divorce?
So he lost custody. Maybe he lost custody of his child because he had mental issues.
Yeah, he had mental issues. So and his parents, the child grandparents, even didn't want the boy's mother to visit him, and so once when the grandparents heard the mother, her and their their ex daughter, right, daughter-in-law would get married, so they just wanted his son to get married, but they didn't think of that. his son was still ill. He was still in trouble. He had mental problems, right? But at that moment, how can he find the right one to marry, right?
Yeah.
Because they hired a nanny who was taking care of the child. So the parents wanted them to marry just want the nanny to marry his son who has mental problems. And of course, usually in China, nannies are really poor. That's why they can live with others. So, and she lived in a very remote place, and the parents didn't know anything about her background. So, after they got married, and they found the nanny had 3 children before she married her son. So of course that's a problem.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was very extensive, very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, something. My observation, Mary, just again from having been there many times and having pretty deep connections there, is what I've seen is like you said, a lot of that has changed. Where now women feel more empowered. And as a matter of fact, if you look at a lot of businesses now, a lot of businesses are being opened, right, by women.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So they, and economically they're becoming a much larger part of the workforce, I think. Right.
Yeah. Now in China, women are becoming more and more independent.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, we can decide. We can make our choice and make our decisions. In the past, you can't make any decision. You have to obey.
Right.
We have such a saying, in the past, had a saying, right? When you were young, you obey your parents, your father, and when you got married, you obey to your husband, and when you got older, you will have to obey to your son. So, yeah, that's the same in Chinese, but I can't translate it well in English.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense. What you're saying,
But
it makes
it's
sense.
understandable, right?
Yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense.
Thank you.
Well, that was very interesting. That was very interesting perspective. So I don't know, Johnny or Jamila. I guess I don't know who the next person was here. For some reason, there seems to be for some people are having a problem. I think from a quality standpoint, I'm not sure why, but they're having a hard time to join. I see people dropping in and out quite a bit. I don't know why.
Eric,
Hey, Jamie.
what's up?
Well,
We're having our discussion.
We had Jamila. Jamila was actually the first one who joined. Then Mary. Then Camille. Then Rashid. Then Moyu, but he left. Then
Okay.
Rojano, she left too. Aman, she left too. So then you joined.
Okay. Well then, okay. So does Jamila want to go and share with all of us her extensive knowledge?
Of equality, yeah.
Huh?
Gender equality, yeah.
Yep.
Like I said yesterday, yeah.
Oh no, Jamie. Let.
No, it's okay. It's okay. You can go. It's fine.
No, ladies first. Ladies first. Ladies first.
No, you can go. I don't mind.
No, ladies first. Ladies first.
Okay, gentlemen, I can go.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
You don't recognize chivalry when you hear it, Jay.
Well, I think like someone said yesterday, gender equality is not so much of a problem in some places because the degree is kind of different. because I feel like in, let's say, European countries, even if there is no 100% gender equality, but still women enjoy a lot of freedoms. For example, they can work, they can actually they occupy very high level jobs, they get promoted. So as opposed to, let's say, Eastern countries. And to be honest, I would just keep my thoughts to my country, because this is the best example I know, and especially even here in France. So to be honest, if I had to compare between Algeria and France in general as a whole, I would say that women here, they enjoy a lot of freedoms. They speak their minds. For example, they can do any job they want without being criticized. In most cases, I would say. I have never been harassed, to be honest, when I go outside. My mom gets surprised in many cases when she calls me and it's maybe 11 p.m. or midnight, and I would say I'm still outside. She would say, okay, this is dangerous. You need to go back home now. So I've never been harassed, but I think, again, it's also about a women's attitude, because to be honest, I'm not so, there's a movement, the Me Too movement, and I think we've all heard of it. And to be honest, the only woman I admire is the first woman that spoke out, because she was not afraid. And for example, all the actresses that came after her, to me, they were kind of in, they did a big mistake, because we always yell, okay, we want gender equality, but when it comes to our benefits, sometimes we don't speak up. And to me, this is a mistake, because for example, if you look at some actresses, they kept quiet, they never said a word, because just for their careers, right? So to me, I'm kind of harsh on those women. But so this is why I said in European countries, and when you go to the US, women still enjoy a lot of freedoms, and they can speak up. They can, unless they don't want to for some reasons. So if I talk about my country, I think it's improved a lot. To be honest, it has improved a lot, because many years ago, even a woman driving a car was like, it was a big shock for people. So for example, if you drive a car, it was a shock, but now it's very common. It's not surprising anymore. So women are more active. They open businesses, and actually even the government, they do encourage them to open businesses, but still we can do much more for women, because they are still harassed. And in my country, there is a predominantly a massive Arab community, which are known to be much more conservative than my community, because I'm not Arab, I am a Berber. Proud. And if you look at history, actually, in my community, women, they had a very high status in our community. For example, we had Berber queens. They used to go to fight. They used to go to war. They would ride horses. We never wore a veil. And actually, this is the problem, for example, between my community, especially women in my community and the Arab community. We are described as being too European in a way, because we are not conservative. Actually, we are Muslims, but we are not 100% conservative, because we are pretty open. So I think women in my community specifically, they do enjoy a lot of freedoms. I never felt oppressed by any man in my family, never. I was always encouraged to do a lot of things. And if you look also at statistics, the majority of students that go to study abroad, they are specific in my country actually. I could not talk about other the countries. So in my country specifically, the majority they are Berbers. So in our community, we do encourage women to get an education, to work, and to contribute. We speak out actually, and in many cases, we are perceived to be rude, not polite, not educated, because we do that. We are encouraged to do that. So, so this is as far as my community is concerned, but I think in general, this is actually a mistake because whenever you have a community, there should be a balance, because you cannot be productive as a nation, as a country, as a society if all the voices are not heard and if you don't allow both genders to contribute. I would agree that I can bring something into the table that would be different from a man's contribution, but this is actually the good thing. This is the positive thing, because we can do different things that actually can work together towards a positive change. Yeah, I think this is it for now. If I think of anything, I can add it later, but for now.
So I guess, did anyone have any questions for Jamila?
I have a lot of questions.
No.
Okay.
I have a lot of questions.
Oh my God.
Hi, Johnny. Of course.
Yeah. My first question would be, what is your personal definition of gender equality? What is it for you? What does it mean?
Well, to me, I think gender equality is to have access to basic education first. I think we would all agree, whether man or woman, they should all have the opportunity to get an education. Health also. And also when we talk about opportunities, whether education, but also economically speaking and socially speaking.
What
to
about,
me, yeah, this
what
is
about rights?
what gender equality means. What do you mean?
I mean, if you give me your definition, you say it's about having equal opportunities, having access to equal resources, right? What about rights?
Yeah.
Shall we have the same rights?
Yeah, I mean, of course. Yes.
All right. So my second question would
We
be.
do, yes.
My second question. If you have a date for the first time, who will pay and why? Who have to pay and why?
Okay.
Huh?
Yeah.
Well, it depends how the date goes. This is to me, this is not about. I can pay. I don't mind doing that, but I don't mind doing that. But I know for sure this has nothing to do with gender equality. I can propose to pay because this is polite, but I think I would always appreciate a man paying. And even a man, they would always appreciate paying because they will feel much more manly. I'm the guy. I invited her, yeah? So, and I think every man here, they would say the same thing, so.
Well, yeah. I would only offer to pay Jamila because there is a code which I demonstrated earlier called chivalry, where I think men should treat women more respectfully. Like they hold the door open for women, they pull the chair out. Chivalry is dying, and I think men should be more chivalrous toward women.
I mean, it's not. Yeah.
And as for gender equality, I mean, women have only been able to vote here since 1920. I think that women should have been able to vote since since early on. What what does it matter? What does it matter? What gender a person is? Women should have always had the same rights as us men. It's only I have no idea why they made women wait so long. Did they think women are like second class? No, women are human just like us men. So they should be treated as equals. They should definitely.
I think this is again, if you allow me, I think this is again the problem. This is the problem we have when we talk about gender equality. Of course, we are different. Men and women are different. We are not the same. Equality doesn't mean sameness. Okay, I'm not saying I'm a man. I'm not a man. I'm a woman. I'm different. Maybe I think different. I have different perspectives, and this is the good thing. So the goal here is to encourage women to contribute, and also we encourage men to help and to actually listen and be receptive to that.
Okay.
Well, I think Johnny, I think Johnny was still asking questions. I think maybe. So Johnny, did you have any more questions to ask?
He said he did.
Yes. One more
that was
question.
it? Okay.
I thought he said I had help.
One last question. When it comes
That's
to
right.
approaching the person you like, who should take the initiative and why?
I think we're turning this into another discussion, but
It's about gender equality. It's
I
related
think a woman shouldn't be afraid to do. Yeah, no. I agree, because again, this goes back to the socially constructed roles and responsibilities, right? For example, a man should be like this and should do this. A woman should be like that and should do that, right?
Yeah.
So to me, this is again a process, and even a man, they have the responsibility, because to me, I would empower a woman to be free to do that if she wanted to, if she feels comfortable doing that, approaching a man. But again, I would also encourage men not to take this the wrong way, because in many cases, if a woman does that, they would think, okay, she doesn't have values. In most cases, they say, okay, no, she's not waiting. She should just do something, a sign, and it's up to me to make the move. So again, I think it's not always about gender issues, should necessarily be focused on women alone, but also about the interaction and the relationship between men and women.
That brings me to there's a saying, love at first sight, which I don't believe in it, but it does exist. That means when a man sees a woman for the first time, he falls for her. If it was up to me, I think the couple should get together, spend some time together first, and if the man decides that he wants to wants to go out with a woman as and try to become her boyfriend, then of course I think he should make the first move, but don't be too aggressive. Just try and be as cordial to the woman as you can. You don't.
Okay, are we turning this to dating tips 101?
No. Actually,
introduction to dating.
No. Actually, thank you for this example, because I think in most cases, when a woman is aggressive, when she wants something, whether in a relationship or job opportunities or education, society is not expecting that from her. So, for example, a woman should not be aggressive. And to me, I don't agree with that. I mean, if you want something very hard, and if you have to be aggressive, then yes, you have to be aggressive, especially for women, because society did not create the right environment for women in order to do things in a less aggressive way. So, I mean, in most cases, we have to be aggressive in order to do to have something. So.
Well, I meant, Rick, no, we're not turning this into dating 101, but I've heard about some women who take the initiative rather than the man. But
no, I was joking. That was a joke.
Okay, well,
Okay. So who was next? We have a lot of other people. So Johnny, who was next after Jamila? Actually, I had one quick blue. Stop it. My dog, he was gonna bark. Okay.
That would be Camille or
No,
Rashid.
actually, I don't. I'll ask a question later. Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, here's go.
And
Okay,
then
so Johnny, who was after Jamila?
That would be
you?
Camille or Rashid.
Yeah.
Camille was driving. Camille, are you able to speak? I know he said he was driving his car.
you want to get an accent.
Oh yeah. How about Rashid? Rashid, are you here? Hello, Rashid. Okay, so maybe he's not here. Maybe he fell asleep.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Rashid is here. Okay.
I was on, my microphone was muted. That's right. Okay.
Did you want to share your ideas about the topic?
Yes. Actually, what I suppose that we cannot expect that women always, in our country, in our many societies, women are encouraged to be subservient to their husband's wishes. I mean, what they like to, how they like to shape their wives. They will follow. They will try to be like. I mean, to try to. Live their lives according to the choices of their husbands. But I don't actually, although I don't like this sort of thing. In our
Okay,
society,
gotta go.
okay. The many husbands, even in educated society, husbands think that women will be at their beck and call, and even they are sometimes they are sometimes victim of dowry and victim of tortures because their parents don't afford to give dowry to their husband's family. That sort of scenario. But also there are many people who cares their rights of women, who understands that they also do their houseworks as well as they do jobs in their offices. In many families, women do jobs as well as do work in their houses. But I suppose that it's my personal belief that women will enjoy freedom, but not only for women. We should have some limit. How much freedom we should enjoy. So there isn't any limit. There is some misgivings that if misgivings of crossing the boundary. I mean, crossing the limit. And it will not be that time. It will not be freedom. It will be like, let's say, autocracy or something like. I mean, what is it? I don't know the proper word in English. It will be just like autocracy or something like. Not be considered as freedom, but that's the scenario in our country. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Rashid, I have a question for you.
Yes.
So you brought up that in Bangladesh, in general, in the society, there's still a general expectation that women are subservient to men, right? In general. Or
Yes,
so
yes, right.
okay. And you made a comment I'm curious about. There should be a limit. What do you mean by there should be a limit? Are you talking about there should be a limit on gender equality? What did you mean by that?
Yes. Suppose if any woman say that as men can, in our country, men can marry four women. I mean, they can have 4 wives.
Okay.
And if any woman say that, okay, as men can have 4 wives, so why don't we? Why can't we? So actually, the fact is, yes, it is very much controversial, especially who are feminists. They will consider it as controversial, and they will not accept it. I mean, radical feminists. But I suppose yes, but as male people, as a boy or as a man, I also don't support that men will have more than 1 wife. It's not good to my consideration. Because of socio-economic condition, because of many factors, it is not right nowadays, I suppose. Neither men nor women can cross a limit of freedom. That's why I asked. Sorry, actually. In we have some stereotype attitude towards towards the men and women. Even the women in our countries, as wives, as sisters, always do advocacy towards women rights. But when those women go to play a role of mother-in-law, of her son's wife, that time they try to mother-in-laws try to impose their decisions on sons' wives, and they try to always make themselves subservient to them.
Right.
And it is not good. And there is a joke. Of saying the joke, I will finish my statement. There's a joke in our country that the mother-in-law is saying to others, my son is husband of my daughter is very good because he always follows my daughters. He always is guided my daughter. But my son is my son is very bad because he always guided by his wife. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Interesting. Okay.
I think it's lost in the translation, I think.
Yeah. Okay, so Johnny, after Rashid, who is next? I think Camille is driving, so he can't speak. Imad, you're at work, obviously. Working hard, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Okay, gotta pay. Gotta pay those expenses. Oh, you can talk.
But I can talk. Yeah, I can talk.
I think Johnny Imad was next, right?
Actually, that will be you.
Okay, do you want to go ahead and share your views? Oh yeah, if he wants to go, I'll go after him.
Sure.
Okay. Before that, don't you have questions for the person who was speaking before me?
Yeah, I asked him a question about. He was asking about for Rashid. Yeah, he had made a comment about there should be limits And my question to him is, what were those limits? And he explained, using the example, that there are boundaries. And again, I don't want to get into, because I have lots to say as well, but I think there are, different aspects. There are religious aspects, there are cultural aspects, there are many different factors that relate to that. So
Yeah, because just he mentioned the idea of when the man has right to get 4 wives, and the woman. I mean, I just want to ask him whether he supports the idea that girls or women should also ask for more than one husband or not.
Rashid?
If he can answer shortly.
Yeah, I think he said.
Yeah.
I think he said he.
Okay, can I answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, in religious perspective, what I said in religious perspective, that in our religion, men are allowed to have more than one wives, conditionally, not without condition. But women cannot have 4 husbands, and that's why I just and if any woman say that, okay, suppose always we bear children being pregnant, so why not men also have to bear children? They also should be conceived. So I mean, that's sort of, even many feminists write this sort of things in the Facebook, in some and that's why actually in some social media, and many things, and that yes, we should have freedom to consider, I mean, up to considerable level, but not beyond that. And that's why that's the thing I try to express. So if I make any mistake, I apologize to you. It's I just said about my views. It's
No, it's
Rashid, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
If you had more than one wives, do you mind your wives have more than one?
Actually, it's a very sensitive question. Suppose if woman is married with more than one husband, so it will create problem of their children's identity, to trace the identity of the children, who is the father of this child or that child. That sort of problem can be created, and it will. Yes, nowadays, due to technological development, scientific development, many things can be solved, but it will take huge time and huge money. Huge time will be spent, and many sort of issues will come out. So I actually, I don't support it, and not only me, anyone can support this thing. But yes, in our religion, it is permissible for men only. According to
But Rashid, you can really accept men have more than one, but you can't accept women have more than one, right?
Not only, yes, it is. I mean, it is in our society. Our society cannot accept, and
I just want to ask you.
Part of society, so I also cannot accept it.
Yeah. So let's hear from Imad. Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Let me answer first before I move to my points. Okay. Let's answer her. The last question. It's simply because of the number of people. For example, in my country, the number of male is less than the female. and most of the other countries, the Arab countries and some other countries. That's why we allowed for men to marry more than one wife, and we don't allow the woman to have more than to husband, or because of the number of girls is higher, and since they are higher, so we cannot find each female has the male, his husband, for example the wife and the husband, because we will have a lot why girls without husbands. In this way we allow for men to choose more than one wives, because in our societies it means it's illegal to have relationships out of marriage. That's why we allow the man to have more than it means it depends on also on whether he can make justice between the all wives or not. If he can, and if he can support more than one wife, it means he is allowed to have more than wives, in order not to let other girls to go outside or to resort to an unrespectful way, because as a human being we have desires. So we support in this way we support the men to have more than wives, and we don't support the girls because just of the numbers. Okay, this is as an answer. That's why. And concerning my point of view, I think you are talking about just gender equality. That's not a debate, because Ray is waiting me to answer a lot of questions. Okay, since it is not a debate, I'm going just to talk and discuss with you. Okay, concerning for when I'm hearing the term gender equality, it comes to my mind that we have to give the equal treatment, the equal deal, the equal opportunities, or the equal to access to the resources, to the services, to the benefit, for example to the decision making, in for example the influence. This can help both. It means we cannot pay attention to the gender. If we want to make a deal, it's not based on whether I'm dealing with female or male. We have to deal with them in the same way, to give the benefits on the same way, to let them make the decisions in the same way. There's to give them the same opportunities in work, in education, in health, in every domain, in every aspect of life. That's what we called gender equality. But that does not mean that women and men are equal. They are not equal. Each one is born for his duties, for to complete a work that's born for. But when we are talking about equality in gender, it means we put them in balance. They are in the same balance. It means in the same to achieve balance in society. It means we have to deal with them in the same way, to give them the same opportunity. That will help a lot to go far away, or to abandon, to avoid discrimination in the society, because the women are powerful, as we know nowadays, because it can go and work with men side by side. You know what we don't have to support is nature. It means the innate things that they born with. For example, the women are by nature, they can be pregnant, they can give babies. The men cannot. It means this is innate things. We cannot discuss these things. For example, as the inheritance. It means we cannot talk about the equal in inheritance, something which is by nature. We cannot discuss it and give it equality, because each one has born for his duties, his behaviors, his values. Women and men are not equal. But when are talking about gender, for example, when giving education to children, it means especially it happens in the rural areas, girls are not allowed to follow their higher studies. in most of the rural areas, because their parents are always afraid to send them alone, because as we know, girls are oh my god, what, you're right. Okay, we'll answer you later. Okay, I said that it means in the rural area, yeah, girls are not allowed to continue or to follow their higher education. That's the discrimination. We don't have to support this. Here we are talking about equality. Girls and boys should follow their higher education. Should access to the education, to the health care in each domain in society. It means they have the right. We are Johnny was asking about the right. Yeah, and when are talking about gender equality, it means they have the same right to do things or to access to things. Not it means, but by nature, men are stronger. In some cases, they are not equal. For example, when access to the public, for example, forces such as soldiers, it means most of the time we find just only men who are going to that domain, because that domain needs power. They should strong. That's why the man. And what will happen nowadays? We heard that recently women go as, or the feminists goes outside and ask for the equality in everything, even in something which is by nature they are not born for. They ask for these equalities. We don't support them in these equalities, because, and why they don't ask the equalities, for example, when access to, for example, when there are strong problems such as war, when there is war, why only why they don't manifest or make demonstrations in order to go to that type of work or to type of problems? Because girls are very, it means they go to something which is very very lightly, very, it's not strong. They need just only it's soft, not hard. Okay, that's in general the gender equality, but they are not the same, but we have to give them the same opportunity, especially when it comes to education, to healthcare, to services, to resources, or to decision making. Thank you.
I have a question. I have
Okay, you are welcome. When you ask me questions, so I get more ideas to say.
well, so the argument you're making, or not the argument, but and what you said in your discussion is that in terms of areas such as, again, the right to vote, the right to drive, the right to education, the right to seek jobs, those are rights that it doesn't matter the gender, is what you're saying, right?
Right.
Okay, but what you're saying is that from a physiological standpoint, in other words, that there are things that women can do that men can't do, such as, have children, right? And not exclusively, but in a lot of cases, men, or I would say majority of cases, men are physically stronger, right? Physically, so there might be certain areas where they are more predominant. It doesn't mean, for example, here in my country, I don't know about Morocco, but here in my country, you have both men and women in the military, right? Because there are some women that are very physically strong and very capable of doing the same job as a soldier or whatever, or a policeman, policewoman that a man can. Okay, there are some that can. Maybe not most, but there are some that can. Okay, so what you're saying is that, because I'm getting a little bit confused. So the idea is that of course, again, from a physiological standpoint, yes, women can have children, men can't. Right? That's pretty black and white. There's not a whole lot of argument in that. Okay. But in another area, when you say duties, okay, so what do you mean by duties? When you say duties, what do you mean?
I mean duties. It means, for example, in house, there is duties of girls or for the women, and the duties for men. The responsibility of men is different from the responsibility of the women inside the home. Each one has his duties to complete in order to get the balance in societies or in family. Women and men are born to complete each other, not to compete it. You see, that's what I mean by duties. It means each one has its duties. But okay, concerning what you have said, Rick, it means that we have exceptions also in the countries. We can find police women, we can find soldier women. It means soldier, I don't think so. But concerning the policeman, the gendarme, it means the fireman. It means all we can find exception, and we find a strong woman, and we have strong women more than men. But it's only a few. If we compare, we are talking in general. There are exceptions. Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay, and but the duties part, that's not based on, a man has the ability to cook just like a woman does, right? In other words, there's not a physical limitation. What you're saying though is from a social perspective, right? So you're coming, the duties that are expected from a maybe cultural perspective. That's what you're saying, right?
Yes.
Okay, it's not from their inability to do it, because I can, to be honest,
no. Women can do something, sometimes can do something which is higher than men. But concerning we are talking about culture. We are always relate things to the culture and the nature, nature that we born on.
Got it. Okay. All right. Interesting. So we're gonna have to hear from your wife in a couple of years to see. Jamila's gonna contact your wife in a couple of years and see. She's gonna wait. She's gonna do a survey. Okay.
Yeah, but unfortunately she is not educated. This is the problem. She was out of school in early ages.
Okay.
That's the problem.
Jamila, I'm sure Jamila will find a way. Okay.
Yeah, she speaks Arabic. Okay, she will teach you in Arabic.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure we're gonna hear one day. Oh my gosh, you don't believe what Imad does at home. He talks to you guys about all this stuff when he's at home. Okay, he cooks the best meals. Okay.
Oh my God.
I'm joking. Okay. Now that's interesting. And again, this is why we're doing this, is because it's not a matter. I personally, don't. Again, it's not about judging what's right or what's wrong. It's about understanding our different views, right? I mean, that's the reason we do this.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, actually, I think we can even go further and say we are here to share views, but also understand why in some societies there are still gender inequalities, right?
Right.
So from what I hear from Imad, to me this is very interesting, because if we look back, I think women, they used to be much more independent, and they used to have a much more role in our society. Because if I think about Algeria again, I mean, the War of Independence, it was because of women. 60% of it was because of women. So you cannot, to me, this is exactly the problem, because society expects women to do things and not do other things, and I think this is the same thing even for men. We talked about this yesterday. We expect men to do some things but not other things. So to me, if we want to have gender equality, it would be pretty interesting to look backwards and look at our societies, how they used to function, and how, the dynamic between men and women. And I feel like it changed, but not for the best, actually. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's go ahead, because I know we still have a few more people. So I'll give my quick feedback. When I think about this, again, this is very interesting. And again, there are, to me, five or six different factors. There is, of course, the cultural factor that we look at. There's a religious factor. Okay, there is. Okay. There is a education factor. There's a economic factor. There's a political factor, and there's a legal factor. Okay, so when you think about these 6 or 7 different areas that we consider, of course, when we're born into a country, born into culture, we usually adopt, right, what are what we learn from our cultural perspective, what are the cultural norms or societal norms. I think, Jamila, what you're saying earlier. So this is what society expects, right? Maybe.
Yeah.
So in some cases where religion and culture are very integrated, okay, they tend to influence each other, right? In other countries where they're not so integrated, they tend to be separate entities, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, that's obviously a big thing. One thing that I wanted to say though is that we could do something about that if we, and this is where when we travel abroad and we see how other people live their lives, sometimes it gives us a different perspective. If we're outside of our culture, we get a chance to see how other people do things, and it might make us think about the way that we do things ourselves. But to me, the key to actually addressing inequality is this: it's education. And the reason why I say that is because what allows a woman to be independent is economic independence, right? When she has the ability to rent her own place, when she has the ability to get her own job, earn her own income, when she has the ability to make her own decisions. Because think about it this way: when a woman, or well, not a woman, anybody, when anybody doesn't have the ability to make their own decisions, based upon their economic status, okay, basically you are, I don't want to use the word slave, but basically you are codependent on whatever structure you have, okay? And if a woman, for most jobs, okay, I'm not saying all jobs, but for most jobs, they require some type of education. So to me, the step in providing somebody an education is it gives them the opportunity to be economically independent, okay? If you have somebody that's relying, okay, we see this all the time, okay? Maybe somebody stays in a relationship and maybe the man, and I'm not picking on men, I'm just using it as an example, maybe the man is abusive, okay, maybe physically abusive, emotionally abusive, verbally abusive, okay? She doesn't leave because maybe she doesn't have any ability to live on her own, okay? She doesn't, she basically becomes a prisoner to the situation, okay? So I think that, Regina, can you mute your mic, please? So when people have economic freedom, whether it's a man or woman, to be honest, it's a first step to achieving some level of equality. The other things are important as well. The political, like we talked about yesterday, having the political system represented, by different genders. Okay, legal is very important. Okay, because in the legal system, then you could pass laws that protect people's rights, right? In my country right now, there's a lot of discussion because in some cases you have two different groups that are, have different views about things, whether it's about women's rights, it's a sensitive issue, but, pro-life, abortion, these kind of things. So when you have both genders represented in the legal system, okay, you're giving the legal system the opportunity to hear two different views, not just one view. So that's what I have to say about it. And here in the United States, my country specifically, I would say that we've done a lot of good work. I think we have a long ways to go. I think that there will never be a perfect society where there is perfect equality, but I think it's a goal that people should try to achieve. You can hear in here in my country where things like sexual harassment, is becoming a big issue. Okay, women's empowerment. Okay, there's a lot of.
Here, could I say something here?
Well, you can ask a question. Do you have a question?
Yes, I can ask. I'd like to ask a question to Jamila. She represents women.
True. No.
Okay.
Yes. At least there are also more women here. Anyway, I like to ask. In a male-dominated society, what we see, in the name of equality, sometimes men use women as their business as their business tools. Suppose in reception, especially in our country, we see in some corporate organizations or private organizations, in reception rooms, most of the time women are employed, because when the some in banks, in insurance companies, when the customer or clients will come to those offices, and if they see the face of women, that the customer will be encouraged to go there to get service from those organizations, so that those organizations can give services to them in exchange of money. And they, in that case, in some fairs also, some trade fairs and many sort of fairs, women are used to sell products to the customers, and most of the time, and who are bosses, who are upper hands, usually most of the time they're men, but they don't sit in the front desk, they don't sit in the reception, but they sit in the inner side of, they sit very back side of any of the office, or inner room, so that the people cannot meet them so easily. But usually,
Okay, Rashid, you need to.
What do you think, Jamila? Is it right? Is it ethically right or wrong? What do you think? Thank you. It's my question.
Well, I will keep it concise because we have other people. To me, there's no right or wrong. If a woman wants to do that and use her physical attributes to sell things, to maybe to open a business in this area, as far as she's okay with that, she's comfortable with that, more power to her. I think it goes back to being able to make choices. That's it. Okay, we have other people. Maybe Hiroki, he can go. I don't know who's next.
I think it was So. I think it was So, and then Hiroki.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, hello. Hi, Jamila. Hello, Richard. Hello, everyone. yeah, it's a good topic, and some people like to get more deeper. So I don't think that the topic is more about that. Hi, Roki. Nice to see you. So I would like to come back to the topic, the general topic, gender equality in global society. What does that mean? What I've understood from this topic is, we take, for example, the world as one society, because it says global society means the world is one society. What does that mean? One society means one law, one political perspective, one everything is one. As of course, because we have to take, for example, we have to have reference. If someone who does not do that, he's not in the society, he's out of it. So what this movement of, for example, when I hear, for example, gender equality, I always hear only women who's fighting for her rights. And for ages, this movement starts for political reasons in 80s in the United States, and it has more, the movement now, I think it's they have done what they wanted to have. Nowadays we have women with education, women who can, as Jamila said, do whatever they want. Do whatever they want. But nowadays no one speaks for man's rights. Because all of them, what I hear, yeah, it is really dangerous, because what I hear is these political reasons, they tend to take this, for example, women's rights and gender equality, always taking that women nowadays, she is weak, but nowadays woman is not weak. She is responsible. She can take care of herself, but we have to always include, when we say gender equality, we have to include the both genders. We have to put in the table man and the woman in the same table to have at least to have both, because we live with each other. We can't give, for example, too much demand what the woman wants and leave the man aside, and we oblige a man to follow what the woman wants, because this is gender equality, which is wrong. If you go to the court and you have only one person who demands, you have to take the both in the same to be equal, to have equality, to have equity between the both. As long as, for me, I think that we should take, when we speak about gender equality, we should include them both, and even for example, in what Richard said, economical aspect, women have more advantage than men if we go to workplaces in some countries. So we should not take this as advantage, and we should put into consideration. We should put the both man and woman both in the same table, and they have to speak both. What do you want? What do you want from me as a woman? What I want from you as a man? We shouldn't be equal, because equality for me, like what the women nowadays speak, I want to be like a man. Like a man is someone who is more great, and the man is swear, I should swear also. Why should I judge? Why the man, no one judge him because he swears like he's doing something great? And I should also swear I am a thug. A man is a thug. Why woman, when she's a thug, she's being judged, and the man is not? Like a man is doing something great. A woman should uplift herself. We should not be equal with anyone. You have to be the best version of you, women, and the man also. That's why we can live. Otherwise, it's nothing. Yeah, thank you.
I have a question.
Oh yes, me too.
Okay, so okay, since we share almost the same culture, okay, and you are concentrating more on the equality in gender, and we should put men and women in the same table. Okay, the question is, in what aspects you think that the women don't have the equality with men, and that equality, it means we hurt the women when they don't have this equality? In what aspect you think that women don't have the equality as men nowadays?
I don't know. Nowadays, the women get extreme. They want to be not only like a man. She wants to be more powerful, more like I have to control you, man. So I don't know. And they want to. The man follows her, and they want to force her to do. You have to accept it. Why should you accept this thing? You have to also say, I don't accept this. So I don't know what they want to.
I think Jamila, you had a question too, right?
Yeah, actually, I have a question, and I have also a few comments, because first of all, she said women are strong, so they don't need this kind of movement, this kind of campaign. So, are you sure women are strong all over the world? Because I believe, even if we do have issues in my country, we are pretty fortunate, right? We don't suffer from problems that most of women around the world suffer from. If you go to Asian countries, right? And also, she said women have more advantages in some countries. Could you give me an example, please?
Like when they want to have a project, for example, as a sponsor, women, when the man wants a sponsor, they will take, oh, you have to this, you have, no, but when the woman propose any sponsor, they will accept her in the name of, if they don't accept that, she said, you are racist, you are not with the women, you don't want the women to achieve, you don't want, it's like a battle. They have to accept that, because they have to.
I don't really understand, because what areas? Because to me this sounds like a statement. When you say have more advantages in some countries, that means in all areas, right? So do you have a specific example when you are talking about sponsors, or are you just talking in general?
Yeah, I said, for example, you, Jamila, for example, if I, we have, Richard and you, when you have a project, for example, the both you have a great ideas, but let us guess, you have to propose this to sponsor you. If you are a woman, they won't think the second time. But if you are a man, they will think 10,000 times. Trust me.
Well, actually, I fundamentally disagree with this approach, because first of all, not all women use their physical attributes to attract sponsors.
No,
and second of all,
I didn't say physical attributes. No, I said because she's a woman. And nowadays it's became a political statement. You should encourage women to do this. If you didn't encourage her, means you are against this political will. So you are not welcome. It's not because of physical appearance, no.
Well, then let me ask you a question. Why we have a lot of women in our country, right? We have many educated women. Why don't we have more women entrepreneurs? If we follow your logic, you're saying it's much easier for women to get sponsored, right? So why don't we have more female entrepreneurs?
You know that it's different in our country, because nowadays we enter this entrepreneurship. It's new, and the women if you have numbers, they are getting higher, but they have a small companies. It's not very appealing, but they have a big company. But this economical will, it started by maybe this 5 years. So you can't expect many things for women to do. A lot of things for in duration of 5 years. You need to at least 10 years as a short term, and we'll see, because it's this economical entrepreneurship is new for women and men. So that they are entering this. Women are very they are, how can I say, they welcome in, and it's still small. You can't see it. But when you ask, for example, what you are doing, I have this, I have that, I have this. So it's getting higher.
I can help you answer that too.
Okay. Thank you.
What's that?
I can help her answer that question too.
Well, you were going to ask?
You wanted to help her answer the question.
I need help.
well, I think, Johnny, you still have to go, right?
Yeah.
You haven't gone yet. Okay, so I think Imad had. Okay, so Imad, you had a question too, right? I think for Soso.
I asked it first before Jamil. I asked my question.
Okay, so that was it though. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I think Hiroki, right? Hiroki's gonna go, and then Johnny, are you gonna? And then we still have Rojana, right, Johnny? Because I think
Hiroki too.
Yeah, well, that's gonna say. I don't know, Johnny, if you guys how you want to do it. You want Hiroki to go, then you guys, or you guys want to go and then Hiroki? How do you want to do it?
I don't mind.
Okay.
Hiroki goes.
Okay, bro.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, thank you. And I think the how can I say? Equality means every people can achieve their possibilities. So But sometimes society requires a strong norm. If you're a man, if you're a woman, also not only a norm, they actually regulated by laws in some country or some society. I don't think it's not good, and it doesn't mean equality. And so also society always separates genders as two, but the actual gender is more than two, more like a graduation. But they ignore that completely traditionally. So, but we are living in now, not in the past. So, in my sense, maybe if the in the past, maybe when I was a kid, even when I was a small kid, it was rare to see the female doctor. So some men saying, "Oh, women cannot be a doctor," but now a lot of female doctors I see in the hospital. So society sometimes regulate people, or you should do that because of your gender, or because I think it's not good because it hinders our possibility. And if there also many people has a talent, a different talent, but if they cannot develop their talent in such way, we lost such a precious talent in the world. So equality can improve our society better. That's my opinions about this. Thank you.
I have a question for you, Hiroki, in Japan.
Mhm.
So I think again, we've talked about this in other discussions, but I think there are still, for example, when we think about the economy, it's still predominantly male dominated, right?
Yeah, I think so, and kind of man has more power than women economically. I said about that in the previous, maybe past session. The puberty often happen in a single mother after divorce of something, so they cannot enough help, or they cannot get enough proper job to gain money to live. So yeah, actually sadly such inequality is happening here as well. But also I'm talking about occupation, so doctor. But for men, many people believed men cannot be kindergarten teachers, but now some men challenging to be a kindergarten teacher.
Right.
They like kids, or also nurse. In the past, almost women, but now a lot of men are doing in the hospital as a nurse. So yeah.
Right. Okay, interesting. I actually have a lot more to say or questions to ask you, but I know there's other people, so I'll save it for another day. I was watching a documentary about Japan the other day, and I have some questions to ask you, but I'll save it for a different day. Okay, thank you, Hiroki. Who else? So Rajano, are you here, Rajano? Rajano, are you here? Okay, maybe she can't speak. Safe. Are you going to be able to speak, Safe? Hello? Or did you fall asleep? I know why he turned off the video. He's worried about Jamila saying something about laying down on her bed talking. Okay, that's too lazy. You need to sit up or something. I don't know. Okay, or you need to be at work like Imad. Look so serious. Okay. Imad, that would be a good advertisement for your company right now. You should have them take a video of you sitting at your desk and advertise it. Use it for marketing campaigns for your company. Okay, it looks very professional. Okay. All right. So I guess Johnny, you were the last one, huh?
I have a question for Hiroki, and I still want to answer Jamila's question for Sosa.
Okay.
First, my question for Hiroki. Hiroki, can you refresh my mind a little bit about the legal system in your country? Do you have presidents, or do you have emperors?
Emperor doesn't have any political power. So prime minister is the kind of leader of Japan politically.
But you still have emperors, right?
Right. So because of the history, so in my opinion, the reason why emperor survived after the World War II, during the World War II, strong military government used emperor as a symbol to, in Japan. So at that time, some people blindly worship the system, and if the American occupation army killed emperor because of the war criminal, maybe riot kind of thing could happen. Also, Soviet maybe kind of in the Cold War time, Japan is a very politically important land for maybe capitalism side. Sorry to say about that, but anyway. So maybe American occupation army used imperial system to, how can I say, because people follow the imperial system blindly at that time. Some people do that. Some people are opposed to that actually. But anyway, to create peaceful Japan, they got rid of, or also Japanese politicians. Some politicians thinking about that that the system is not working in Japan. It caused a huge tragedy here. So they get rid of all political power from emperor, and emperor proclaimed he's a symbol in Japan. That's
all right.
Sorry.
So I just wanted to know if you still have that kind of system, or if you only have president. Because my next question would be, you're saying that you have both, just that one doesn't have the power that it had before. My question then will be, in the empire system, can a woman be empress or emperor? How you say that, Rick? Empress?
Yeah,
empress.
No,
empress.
Okay.
Empress.
In that system, can a woman be empress? And in the legal system, can a woman be president in Japan?
It can be a president in Japan, but now it's empress is on the debate. Actually, traditionally, Japan used to have a women's empress, but people believed the empress system did not exist. Maybe mainly right-wing nationalistic type people believe so, but it was not actually. The strong military power altered that system. So now it was on the topic debate. Emperor system.
I'm not familiar with the history of Japan in terms of previous presidents. I don't know if there has been any woman president, and if it's not, what do you think it is? Why haven't seen more women?
I think in the ancient time, this area kind of empress, how can I say, Himiko, her name is Himiko, was a leader, also religious political leader in maybe this region, but it was layered. A woman was a leader, a political leader. In Japanese history, sometimes it happened actually, but in modern history, there were no women's leader. So kind of history is changing. So I hope the history changes, in the future in a better way as well.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Hiroki. And I would like to answer now Jamila's question for Sosa. When she asked, why don't we see more women entrepreneurs in Nigeria? That question would imply that they all have tried. What if they didn't? I think it has to do also with the society, how the society is. I don't know if all women there are allowed to pursue, to be independent, to pursue that kind of job, to be allowed to have jobs. I'm not sure. Maybe Sozon, you can answer that question better. But asking them why don't we see would imply that they all have tried. I have friends from that part of the world who said that, female friends who said that even if they want to have a job and they want to be independent, that will create a lot of problems at their house with their husband and with their family, because they don't want her to have a job. They think that it's the man who has to be the one who go to work. So even if she wanted, or even if that is her dream, society will impose a big pressure on keeping her in the house. So maybe that could be one of the reasons why we don't see as many female entrepreneurs as we see males. Could it be? Does it make sense?
I think that's exactly the point, Johnny. When you say maybe they are not encouraged, right? This is exactly the point, because what she said that in some countries, I don't know if she included my country, she said women have more advantages. And to me, this is not a 100% true statement, especially if you consider all aspects of our society, whether socially, economy, anywhere, even inside the family dynamic. So to me, this is exactly the roots of the problem. Women are not necessarily encouraged to do that. They don't grow in an environment where they feel free to be proactive and do things in some areas.
Well, I would agree with that. Not so long ago, I was researching about gender equality, and I was looking at some statistics. And I remember seeing that the countries with the lowest rate on gender equality was Africa and Asia and South Asia. Those were the countries with the least rate, the lowest rate on gender equality. And it all have to do with what you were saying. Some women are not being correctly empowered or encouraged. And it also has to a lot have to do with their beliefs, their religion. So I think as long as we have those kind of systems, as long as we have those kind of beliefs, some things are not going to be accomplished. Especially if we try to look into gender equality. Given those factors, I think those countries will remain with the lowest rate. I think I could be wrong though.
Oh, you wanted me to answer?
No, just a comment.
Okay, so Johnny, what is your idea?
Well, when people talk about gender equality, I cannot help thinking about the date situation, right? Who should take the initiative? Who should pay, right? And it vexes me when women say, no, it has to be the man, because he is a man. It is his responsibility, it is his duty. But what about right? What if the man doesn't want to have that responsibility? What if he says, or he thinks that we both have the same responsibility? If you have a feeling, why don't you go first? Let me know that you have a feeling. Or if we are supposed to have a good time, why can't just we pay the half and half? Why should I pay for everything? Why should I follow this kind of structure that I didn't agree with in the first place? I'm not saying that I didn't agree, I mean just giving an example. But I and also the situation about the sinking boat, right? Why does a woman's life have more value than a man's life? Just because he's stronger, he can, I mean, if the water is freezing, if there are sharks on the water, I mean, just because I am a man, I will not, I will not, if I have to face the shark, I will not win any less than, or any more than a woman would, right? So my life will be equally in danger. So why does she have more right to save her life than me? Just because she's a woman? When we talk about gender equality, we tend to forget some things. And we generally try to favor women more than men. And maybe it's because men have already occupied a lot of job positions, or he has already performed certain kind of duties from the beginning. And now women try to do it as well. So we focus, we put the spot on the women more than men right now. But sometimes people who fight for that kind of equality, they don't actually mean equality. They just actually want more for one. It's it it's something that doesn't make sense, especially in the feminist movement, when they say we want everything that men has, but we want men to have everything we have. But we fight for equality, so they don't really mean equality.
Well, okay, so
What do we mean exactly?
I don't know what you
We
mean.
don't
I don't
mean
know
equality.
what
do we?
women really want, but it's not equality. let me tell
confusing
you that.
now.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
know what
what
is
you-
it that they want, but I know that it's not what you say that you want. It's not.
Well, let me. My daughter and I had a long discussion about this a couple months ago because she's very strong-minded, very independent, very capable of taking care of herself. Okay, and but she and I were having a long debate about this or discussion about it. So I think that there is and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It is what it is. But there's a traditional role that the man, right? The man is the protector. Okay, he is the one that and that we would consider, not in all cases, but in most cases, we would consider women and children to be more vulnerable, right? So, okay, so from my perspective, men, and I'm not saying all men, okay, I'm not saying all women or children, but in general, men have an obligation, okay, to protect those that are more vulnerable. To me, that's an obligation. Now, what that has to do with gender equality, I don't know, okay? But to me, I see that as an obligation. And I've always thought that way, and to me, if I go out with somebody and they offer to split up the tab or something, well, that's up to them. But I personally feel more comfortable. Okay, and whether it's right or wrong, I feel responsible. Okay, now does that and I think that comes down to individuals. That's not a society. I mean, there might be societal norms that say traditionally, right? I mean, a lot of people now when they go out, they go Dutch. They split the tab, right? That way, neither one feels
But
obligated.
it's
Okay.
it have to do a lot have to do with stereotyping. When you say that you have the obligation to protect the most vulnerable, you would imply that all women are vulnerable, they're weak, and that's not the case. There are strong women, stronger than men, and there are weak women, weak men,
Yeah.
weaker than any woman. So what about that? What if you present that case where a man is not what the society think he should be, and so he doesn't have the right to save his life?
No, I'm saying there's an exception to everything. There's an exception to everything, and I would agree with you. I mean, again, there are women that when I was in the military, there are women that are physically stronger than a lot of men I know. Okay, more capable in many different ways of a lot of men I know. Emotionally stronger as well. Okay, so I'm not saying that that's the thing about it. You have to treat gender equality on a how do I say it? On a objective basis, okay, which is kind of going back to something I think Imad said and it was said earlier. I don't agree with everything that was said, but in general, I think the point is the rights, okay, the right to vote, the right to drive, right? That when people enjoy the same rights from that perspective, the right to get a job, maybe, okay. That is now how there are cultural and societal perspectives, right? It's like, to me, Johnny, it's like the example of a country that has a lot of resources and a lot of strength protecting a country that is economically weaker and maybe is in trouble, right? So I think there's always a responsibility for those that have something to look out for those that don't have. Okay, I think that's
my problem is when
whether
you
it's
say
people
that
or nations or what.
when you say that everybody has a responsibility. So who is to say what responsibility you have? Who is to say that? Who is to say that I
Those
have
people,
this kind
those,
of
those
What people?
Those people, those individuals have to make the people you're talking about, because you can't say that, again, this is kind of what we said earlier, inequality is not something that will ever be addressed 100%, because you can't. Okay, it's in some cases it's black and white, maybe laws. In other cases, it's a state of mind. It's a way of thinking, right?
If I may say something, because Johnny is talking about relationships, to me, I think it is kind of different, because again, this is biological. Well, yeah, it is biological, because we need to set apart, because both examples you've mentioned are related to the dynamic between a man and a woman. So because generally a woman wants protection, and this is just biological. Whether you're a strong woman, whether you are a weak woman, even if you are very strong and very independent, you still want a man to have this kind of to be this protective figure. And men usually they are more attracted to nurture, because this is but I think again, like I said, it comes back to choice. For example, if if a woman is okay with staying at home, not working, taking care of her husband, her children, that's completely okay. We're not saying that this is good or this is wrong. We're just saying it should everyone, both genders, they should have choices. They should have the same maybe opportunities. They should have both the power to make their own choices.
No, I don't think it's about choices. I think it's about social construct. The way that the society has worked throughout history, that's how we learn how to manage ourselves. That's what we have absorbed from societies, from history. That's the way we have been living our lives. If society has some kind of different values, if we did things differently, if we thought things differently, we wouldn't have this kind of situations, right? But it's not about choice. Like, if you suppose you didn't born in this planet, you're born in another planet where there is another kind of society, they wouldn't be talking about this, perhaps. That you are born with certain responsibility, that there is this idea that a woman is weak, she always needs protection, and the men turn to nurture, like you said. We have these ideas because that's the way we have been living our lives. That's the way the society has have been. So
I completely agree with you. For example, you were talking about dinner. Yeah, who has to pay? To me, it again goes back to how the society functions. Because if society encourages women to go outside and just earn their own money, then women, they would have the choice to say, okay, let me pay. But because society doesn't do that, so obviously women, they don't earn as much as men do. So implicitly they expect men to pay.
It's because if you say that, it's like saying, well, society didn't teach me how to think differently. Society didn't encourage me, so I would just go ahead and do, just the same way. So if you really want to see something change, you should change the way that you see things. I'm not talking about you. That woman in particular.
Yeah. No. And it's also said, she said something like women have to uplift themselves, right? I think she said that. But I think all of us here in this discussion, maybe just a few, we didn't grow up in a very oppressive society, and the fact that we are all here on Skype talking about this topic means a lot. It means that we have a lot of freedom. To me, we are able to express ourselves freely. But we have to understand also that there are girls and women in other parts of the world. Even in my country, there are small villages that are 100% conservative. A woman cannot even say a word, in front of a man. And to me, this is completely wrong. So I would agree that men also, they are oppressed too, But we also have to recognize that women are much more likely to be harassed, are much more likely to be denied opportunities. They are much more likely to be aggressed. So we always protect the more oppressed person. And in that case, any country you can go to, they are women. They are not men.
Yeah.
So.
I think that's generally true. Generally true. Okay. So
can I say something, please? Yeah, I think that not because the man who they don't demand, because they don't demand their rights for the women. I think that because the man of pride. Do you think that any man comes, for example, do manifestation or they protest because women took their rights? Do you think that we can watch or we can see this kind of man yelling outside, we do all have men rights, we should oppress women? Do you think that? I think that it's a man pride. He always never shows his weakness. I still have control. Woman, you can't still beat me. I'm still superior. And the woman is challenging and she's doing her best to do the best thing but you know, I don't think so. I don't think we can beat this battle because the men never stop teasing the women, and the women never stop challenging the man. So I think the both should stop and start living together. Yeah.
Okay. So, Johnny, I see Babuti just joined. Did you want to give Babuti a chance to speak before we close?
Sure.
Babuti, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, Babuti. We're going to wrap up now. We're pretty much done. But did you want to say something about this topic before we do it?
Okay, but yeah, it isn't late, yeah. If it is late for you, yeah, I can wait for tomorrow.
No. Well, why don't you just share your idea again? Because I know you did the past couple of days, but share it again with the rest of us about what you think about gender equality.
Yeah, I think gender equality is something that we should aim at, because it is very important. And where are we right now? I think the question is, can we achieve it, or can we expect to achieve gender equality in the foreseeable future? I think we have done a lot of things since the past century, but when we see where we came from, I mean, at the time where women were denied the right to vote, denied all of this right, and we see right now where we are, I think we have achieved a lot of things that we didn't achieve the right, the equal equality. I mean, I didn't find the right word for that, but we didn't reach the point that we want to reach, because there is still a big gap between the two gender. Yeah, because the gap, we can't fill it in the next 10 years or so, because if in some place on the earth the gap isn't that large, but in some other places the gap is still large. You know, in some country, women were denied the right to even drive, and yeah, but it is something that is about the past right now, because but you know what? If you are denied the more, I mean, the more insignificant right, you will be denied the other rights that are more important. I mean, equality when it comes to salary, to responsibility, to all of these things, to lead a country, there is a big gap that we have to work on it. Even the data that you have provided, it shows that even in the United States, the gap between men and women when it comes to salary wouldn't be filled in these 10 years. In some places in the United States, we have to wait 100 a century or even more in order to get to that point. And I think there is a lot of work that we have to do, but we should be proud at what we have achieved so far, because it is a tremendous effort that we have done in the past, and the result is here. But we still have a lot of things to do if we want to achieve right quality between the two gender, or between gender equality.
Let me ask you a quick question regarding Mauritania specifically, your country specifically, since it shares some cultural characteristics with Morocco and other countries in North Africa. How do you see the situation specifically in your country?
Yeah, to be honest, when we look back 20 years ago, it was a big dark. Yeah, it was a big dark, because little women were allowed to go even to school. There is nothing, there is no law that forbids a girl from going to school, but it is a lot of obstacles that they can't overcome if they want to go to school, and those barriers are nowadays, some of them have fallen, but there are still some of these barriers. But we can't think. I think we had to wait until 1975 in order to get the first female at the cabinet level, and I think it is. But since then we have evolved in the right direction. There are a lot of women right now acting as MPs, and some of them are ministers and in a high position in our country, but it still remains a little portion. When we look at the number of the girls that have dropped out school, the girl outnumber boys in that category. Even when we look at the number of girls that didn't even go to school, it is a big number, and that is a big number right now, but it has a consequence in the future, because when it comes to 10 years down the road, we will see that there is no female that can do something, because they didn't go to school right now, because with those females that doesn't go to school right now will not be in the position they can even ask or aspire to be something else in 10 years or 20 years ago, 20 years in the future, and that is a big problem. To be honest, we have achieved a lot of things, and I think it is thanks to the communication, thanks to the pressure coming from outside, and the NGO, and a lot of things. A lot of people are going and making a lot of pressure, and I think we are moving toward the right direction, or through the right direction. But we have still a lot of things to do in order to achieve that.
Okay, all right, thank you. The last person, looks like Catherine just joined us. Johnny, if you don't mind, we'll go ahead and give her a chance to as well. Catherine, did you want to tell us what you think about gender equality?
Yeah, in China, the gender equality. Well, to be honest, in China, I think these days are better than before, but I guess because of most of people are influenced by the Confucius thought, so there are some places, especially in rural areas, and people still the man takes their their social status is still better than women. So, and for example, in rural areas, some family they prefer to have a boy instead of a girls. But I think these days the situations get better and better, and especially in some big cities, and more people receive better education, so they understand that women and men are equal, and also the society give more opportunity for women to, for example, more job opportunities and more education opportunities. And actually, there are some data show that nowadays the more women are in, they prefer to go through their studies. Like, for example, I think a great number of women choose to study for their master or even PhD than men. So I think this situation can get better and better.
Okay, good. Yeah, something you weren't here, but Mary was with us in the beginning. And Mary's a different generation than you are, so she has a kind of maybe a different view on things. But Mary was bringing up about the past history of China. For example, the tradition where boys were preferred than girls, right? Because it's a kind of a patriarchal type of society, right? And even where there were issues of gendercide, where there's intentional, forced abortion or killing of infants, right? Female infants. And a lot of this happened more in the rural areas, not so much in India. This is also a problem in parts of India and other parts of the world too.
Yeah, I think the previous generation, they are sort of influenced by the Confucius, I think. Even my father, I think he really likes me, but in his thoughts he just believe that his wife, my mom, is a kind of property of him. It's kind of in my father's thoughts. So but I just I disagree, but I think he's kind of a stubborn.
Well, yeah, I think that some of this is generational. If you look at certain generations, there's a different view, right? I've always felt like when we think about the male-female relationship, particularly at home, and I really don't like the idea of people being subservient. I really don't. I just, for some reason, I just really don't like that idea. I look at more in terms of partner, people working together, right? Whether business or other situations, I look at more in terms of a something between a man and woman is tied to working together on something, right? So to me, and I was telling Mary when she was here earlier that my experience in China, I saw when I talked to people of the older generation, when I went to my friend's house and was talking with her parents, it's kind of the same thing, so I think a lot of it is generational.
Yes,
and even here,
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I mean, for my generation, I think it got better.
Yeah. Well, I think in your generation in China, again, there are more women that are getting a higher education. There are more women that are getting higher economic positions. There are more women that are starting their own companies. Okay. So, through these types of conditions, people feel empowered, right? You feel empowered to do things, right?
Yeah, especially I think for women, if they are financially independent, and that gives them more confidence. Yep. They don't need men anymore. They can live independently, and without men they can still live better life.
Yeah, well, that was something we brought up as well. That economic independence is one of the key contributors to, people having the freedom or the choice, right? It's something I think, Jamila, you said earlier that's really interesting is that, people choose and to follow a quote unquote traditional household model where maybe the man goes out and works as a breadwinner and the woman stays at home and raises the children. And if she's happy doing that, there's nothing wrong with that, right?
Yeah.
That's the choice. If she chooses, that's what. But but when she has to do it because she has no options, that's a different situation.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, very, very interesting. Very interesting. And this was all live streamed on YouTube, so everybody's a star. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So one thing we do want to try, and because Johnny recently set this up where we could do this on live streaming, we do want to promote this and get people more interested in some of our social media channels, including Instagram and of course Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah.
So if you want to share the links we have on our YouTube channel with your friends so they can hear you speak, and just don't share it with your parents, okay? Oh, that was it.
Yes, and like we said, we have an event on Facebook, and if people are willing to, and if they feel comfortable, they can send us a picture, because we are kind of trying to create an international collage, yes, for the International Day, Happiness Day, which is in 4 days. So you still have 3 days to send us.
All you got to do is smile. Everybody here has wonderful smiles.
Yes.
Look at Imad working so hard. He has such a great smile. Okay? See? Right there. Look. Perfect. No, that's a good idea. And what I really like, again, about who we are, we see all different ethnicities and cultures represented here. So it is very, very interesting. So, yeah, Jamila's working really hard to try and make that happen. And if we could all do that, that would be great. Alrighty, well, thank you, Johnny, and Jamila for making the call. I was late coming here today, so thank you.
It's okay.
I thought it was a good session and very interesting. Again, we have different views. We don't always agree on our views, but that's okay. I mean, we don't have to always agree, right?
Yes. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.